Hey everybody, hope you're keeping well and strong during this hard time. So today's quick lesson is going to be on relative clauses. Now, there's defining relative clauses, which you're going to do at maybe late pre-intermediate and intermediate level. And then there's non-defining clauses. And today I'm going to do part one, which is defining relative clauses. Again, I'll keep the lesson very fast using clear examples that you can learn and practice and then try and implement yourself. Okay, so to kick us off, we're going to start with relative clauses. And relative clauses are these. You have defining relative clauses these are parts of a sentence that start with the relative pronouns who, that, which, where, and whose. Now, that's what they are, but how do we use them in context and what do we need to understand in order to be able to use them? Okay, so we use relative clauses to give extra information about a noun. So I've split the sentences into the two clauses that they're in here. So example one, the man who or the man that lives next door. You have two clauses in the sentence, which means that there's two parts of the sentence. You have the noun, which is the man, and then you have who lives next door. Now, we need the clause, the relative clause, who lives next door or that lives next door to make sense. Otherwise, it's just the man. Like if you write the man, it's yes. Who lives next door? Ah, now we understand the sentence. So it gives information about the noun. Without this information, the noun doesn't really make sense. So Three Little Birds is the song, Three Little Birds, okay, is the song which or that I love the most. Now, the second clause, we need to make sense of the noun. Three Little Birds is the song. If it's just Three Little Birds is the song, again, yeah, which or that I love the most. And then we have Dublin is the city where I was born. Okay, we need the where I was born to make sense of the first clause. And finally, Brad Pitt is the actor whose wife was Angelina Jolie. Okay, again, we need the second clause to make sense of the first. So, you have this. The rules are that you use who and that when you're talking about a person. So, for example, Messi is a football player. He plays for Barcelona. Now, you can combine this, which is a function of this, into so Messi is a football player who plays for Barcelona. You don't need the second sentence. The first works very well. Okay. You use which and that when you're talking about a thing. So you've got two options. Well, for a person, you can use who or that. So Messi's a football player who plays for Barcelona, or Messi's a player that plays for Barcelona. You use which or that when you're talking about a thing. So 50 Shades of Grey, okay, is a famous book. It has sold millions of copies. Now, if we want to combine this and give extra information about 50 Shades of Grey, we would say, so 50 Shades of Grey is a book which has sold millions of copies, or 50 Shades of Grey is a famous book that has sold millions of copies. We use which or that because a book is a thing. Okay, so when you're talking about things, you can use which or you can use that. Both are okay. And the same with people, who or that when you're talking about people. Okay, now use where to talk about a place. So we drove past the house where we used to live. Okay, you're talking about a specific location and what happened there. So you would use where. You use whose to talk about somebody, like, for example, boyfriend, girlfriend, or family member, etc., or something that is a possessive of somebody. So could be your car, your phone, your child, your uncle, your auntie, your granddad, and so on like this. Okay, so that's the boy whose father plays for Real Madrid. Okay, he possesses his dad and his dad possesses him, and so on. Okay, so bearing this in mind, there's one more with the non-defining clauses, okay, which are defining clauses, not non-defining clauses. The non-defining clauses I'll do in an extra lesson later. Okay, so the rules is that we can omit the relative pronoun when it refers to the object of the sentence, okay? So if it's talking about the object of the sentence and not the subject, you can remove it, okay? So you have, he's the man I met on the plane. Now, you could say he's the man who I met on the plane, or he's the man that I met on the plane, but you can also leave it out. And the reason is because he's the man. Now, in this case, the man is the object of the who or the that, because I is the subject. So the who and the that refers to the man. And in this sentence, the man is the object of this, okay? So you could say three things here. You could say, he's the man I met on the plane, which is probably the most natural. You could say, he's the man who I met on the plane, is fine. And then he's the man that I met on the plane, okay? Now, let's try some exercises with this, guys. You have these. So have a read of these 6 sentences and take 2 minutes starting from now. Okay, and obviously you will have paused the video. All right, so the car was an invention. Now, what is the car? It's a thing, right? So the car was an invention. You could say that changed the world or which changed the world. So if you got that, it's a correct. Okay. What is the name of your friend? And then you have wife is an actress. Okay. Now, when you have wife, it's going to be something connected with belonging to, a possession of which. In this case, it's going to be whose wife is an actress, because of which. Okay, so just be careful with this. Number 3, it's the film, and a film is a thing, and it's going to be that or which won 4 Academy Awards. Number 4 is this the shop? And you're talking about an activity in relation to a place. So it's going to be where you bought your camera. Number 5 is the girl was talking to you is the boss's daughter. You're talking about a person, okay? The girl who was talking to you is the boss's daughter. And then the last one, number 6, this is the book. And a book, again, is a thing. It's an object. So it's going to be that or which everybody is reading at the moment, okay? So I'll come back to you. So that's basically defining relative pronouns, okay? And that concludes the lesson for today. So if you have any questions or any messages you want to say about that, just write them underneath and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Otherwise, guys, I hope this has helped you. Just a tiny, tiny, fast grammar lesson. And have a lovely day. Okay, peace and love. Stay safe.